first of all, not about. I wanted to ask you about the metered model that you guys just introduced for subscribers. Tell us about the metered model, and also how you hope to build that through discovery, perhaps, or through other promotional means.
Yeah. So, BostonGlobe.com, since it launched in 2012, has been a hard paywalled website, and we've seen tremendous growth and subscriber acquisition during that period. But we've reached a point where the next step in the evolution of Globe.com is to expand the audience by offering more content on a monthly basis to users across the web. So, like many newspapers and premium publishers, we've moved to a metered model where right now users can get up to 10 articles per month, at which point they're asked to subscribe.
So how does the promotion of the subscription work? Is it just people like what they read? Are there other ways that you promote subscription?
You know, it's interesting. We have to change. We're in the process of changing the way we do that. Forcing someone to subscribe after 2 views on the website requires a very different set of marketing, promotional, user experience tools than a metered model where you want to get people to 10 articles a month. Under the metered model, it's incumbent upon our sort of web user experience to get people to click, to come back to the site multiple times. And getting to 10 articles a month generally entails getting a user to directly enter bostonglobe.com into their URL bar at some point. Search, social is not going to get us all the way. So I'll give you an example of this. Our article page needs to become a better door to the rest of the site experience. The New York Times has actually done a very interesting job of this with their redesign. If any of you have checked out the New York Times' new redesigned article pages, you'll see directional buttons on either side of the article and a band of article thumbnails on the top of the page. Those are all tools designed to get people to click on more articles on the New York Times. And since we've been a hard paywalled site, we haven't needed to do that on our article pages. But now, getting someone from click 2 to click 6 is really, really important. It used to be after click 2, we had a variety of clever tools to get people to buy a subscription. Now we need a variety of clever user experience tools to get people from clicks 2 to click 6. And once we develop a good formula for that, we can then figure out the right way to find traffic across the web, whether it be through social or search or more paid means to bring people into the funnel.
So tell me about The Atlantic, and it came out of a very niche, sort of wonkish publication, great publication, and now it's huge online. I wanted to ask a little bit about what makes editorial so shareable, from sort of the thought leadership of The Atlantic to other sites that we've seen come up, like Upworthy, and we've seen BuzzFeed and Business Insider and Huffington Post. But
what's BuzzFeed? I've never heard of BuzzFeed.
But and those, it's completely different from The Atlantic. But you know, just some takeaways from the Daily Beast, from The Atlantic about editorial. How does it? You know, what's some of the secret sauce?
Yeah, I think as a broad principle, we can say that the success of a variety of publishers in creating highly shared content across the web shows that there are a variety of loose formulas for creating content that is inherently shareable, and that you know, the web invites publishers, the web invites product companies to experiment. The data comes back at you really, really quickly. So, you know, a second general principle is experiment your way to something that works. And the team at The Atlantic, long before I showed up, generated a very interesting insight early on, which was that on public social networks, people really like sharing content that's smart, that's clever. And with that insight, they experimented and tweaked and wound up with a very unique mix of content that is clever, counterintuitive, quirky, very digestible, and sometimes when I'm reading Atlantic content, just as a reader, I feel like I'm reading short chunks of Malcolm Gladwell insights. And those sorts of insights, like the most interesting chart in Twitter's S1 filing, those are things that you want to share if you're interested in that sort of content. But creating inherently shareable content is only one piece of a sort of a broader operation. I would say the second component is the format the content is in. At Quartz, we quickly found that our most popular content on social networks was either shorter than 400 words or longer than 800 words. In other words, either really digestible, quick bites or long, immersive, thoughtful pieces. And when you find insights like that, then you feed fuel to the fire, and you really grow it out. So, for example, if any of you have seen those BuzzFeed personality tests in your Facebook news feeds over the past few months, that's because BuzzFeed is experimenting with a variety of different content format types, and that one worked. And guess what? They are now doing 70,000 of those. They will come up with 1 million ways to run a personality test until that format has run its course. And I would say the last piece of the pie is using the social media apparatus of the web to your advantage. Just because the Atlantic produces content that tends to be shareable, not every piece of content is going to be shareable. So you need enough content. You need to add enough content into the ecosystem to allow that ecosystem to do its work. So 5 pieces of content a day, if that's all the Atlantic produced, it probably wouldn't be enough to see the amount of social success that it's had over the years.
Let's talk about the whole scenario of acquiring traffic for publishers, established publishers like the Globe or the New York Times or others. Has the attitude changed, and what are some strategies that are emerging?
I think obviously all publishers want to bring as much traffic to their sites as possible, but it's incumbent upon publishers as sort of owners of digital products to figure out how to fit traffic acquisition into their business models, into their strategies. Taking the Globe as an example, Globe.com is looking for paid subscribers. We're looking to get people to 10 clicks. That's a very different strategy from a site like BuzzFeed that's looking to generate as much ad revenue off of as many unique visitors and page views as possible. So we at the Globe need to figure out how to get people from 2 clicks, which demonstrates a clear point of interest. 1 click, you could have found something, one interesting article on the social web, and never come back. But a second visit to Globe.com means that you have some interest. How do we get you from 2 to 5 clicks? Well, we do things internally through the user experience of our site. We seed content on the social web. We can build Facebook pages for our sites and engage audiences there, and we can pay for marketing. And to my mind, if we've got a successful conversion funnel that takes people from 2 to 5 to 10 clicks, and we can demonstrate that a certain paid marketing channel does a good job of getting people from 2 to 5 or from 5 to 10, and there's a clear sort of return for that process, then we absolutely should use those methods. And legacy publishers sort of wind up losing out when digital startups like the Upworthys, like the Go Locals in the local news space, find clever ways to do marketing that we're unwilling to do. So I would say if we can, if any legacy publisher can figure out a paid marketing strategy that works, they would be silly not to continue to exploit it.
And finally, Andrew, what is the opportunity for an audience for you guys? Is it the Boston area? I know it's early on, but what is the audience vision? What might the scope of the Globe.com be?
So John Henry owns the Red Sox, and one of the things he discovered when he bought the Red Sox was that there is this surprisingly large diaspora of Boston people across the country, even in New York. And so Red Sox Nation is over 15 million people across the country. And these are people who make regular pilgrimages to Fenway Park, who drop everything to watch, Red Sox games at 4 p.m. on the West Coast. And we absolutely at the Globe can tap into that same Boston diaspora on Globe.com and on Boston.com. And with Boston.com, and they are two separate sites, very confusing. We're in the process of removing that confusion and turning them into two unique value propositions. But Boston has a variety of areas of expertise and cultural excellence that are broadly applicable across the country and internationally, whether we're talking about healthcare and medicine or sports. Perhaps to the chagrin of people in this audience, Boston has won 12 professional sports titles in the past 10 years, which is pretty powerful. We have I would say the preeminent higher ed sort of ecosystem in the country, and a lot of great scientific and technological research going on. So those sort of provide the seeds for content and sort of digital publication that people from across the country are interested in. So I think whether it's the Boston diaspora or people are interested in areas that are sort of have where Boston has a expertise, I think there is a broad national audience for our content digitally.